Hi, this is Ali Arango of Little Guy CGI, and today I would like to show you how to make a female human head inside of Blender 2.78. So let's get started. Okay, if this is your first time in Blender, I recommend you go to File, User Preferences, go to Input, and then choose Select with left click. Blender's default select is with right click, and this may confuse you if you're coming from Adobe or other 3D programs. Also, while you're in the user preferences, click on add-ons and make sure you have a check mark next to 3D view, 3D navigation, then scroll down. Then make sure you have a check mark next to mesh F2, mesh inset polygon, mesh loop tools, as well as mesh relax. Okay, and scroll down a little bit more. Then put a check mark here next to pie menu 3D view pie menus. Also put a check mark here next to pie menu UI pie menu official. Okay, when you first come into Blender, the first thing you'll see is this cube. You can manipulate your view in Blender by holding your middle mouse button. If you look over to your left, see where it says NA? This is actually the navigation tab. See that right there? I'm going to click here. And with the navigation tab, if you click these buttons right here, they will easily allow you to manipulate your view as well inside of Blender. Okay, what you want to do now is make sure that your cube is selected. You can tell it's selected by seeing this orange outline around it. And with the cube selected, we're going to click here, and then our different edit modes pop up. Then we're going to select edit mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is press W, and this brings up our specials menu. We're then going to go right here where it says subdivide smooth. Once we click subdivide smooth, you can see that our cube is largely smoothed out. Now you want to look to your left and see where it says number of cuts right here. You want to take this up to 3. Okay, when it comes to zooming in Blender, you can roll your mouse to zoom in. You can roll it the other way to zoom out. You also can hold down Control as well as holding the middle mouse button and then push up with your mouse to zoom in and then pull back to zoom back with your mouse. Another way that you can zoom is what we're going to do now is I'm going to hover my mouse right here. I'm going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, press B. And then we can draw a box. And basically whatever is framed in that box, Blender will zoom into. Like that. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here to go right to front view. If you look right here, see it says front perspective view. You can look here to see what view you're in if you're ever confused. See how the grid line is kind of like going up? What we want to do for now is we want to put this in orthographic view. And orthographic view is kind of like it reminds me of a blueprint. It makes 3D objects for the most part look like they're 2D objects. So what you're going to do is click here. And now when we click there, see it says front ortho, and you can kind of see the grid is basically almost like a blueprint in the background there. What we're going to do now is hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button and zoom back, something like that. And then we're going to make sure we're on vertices select. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, with vertices select on, what you want to do is select these vertices right here. So you've got these bottom 3 vertices. Those aren't the ones you want. Then you've got these next row of vertices. You don't want those ones. What you want is these. So you're going to click here. I'm going to actually click here. By clicking here, I can temporarily take away this thing, which is our manipulator. Now I'm going to hold shift, and I'm holding shift so I can select more than one vertex at a time. So now I have all of these 3 vertices selected, which is what you want. And now that I have those selected, I'm going to click here to bring our manipulator back into view. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here to go to the right view. And then what we're going to do is I'm actually going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm then going to press O. When I press O, this little blue circle here pops up. And what this is this is our proportional editing tool. The proportioning editing tool allows you to manipulate more than one vertex, edge, or face at one time. Okay, and with those three vertices selected, what we want to do is press the G key. Now the G key allows you to move things in Blender. However, a lot of times when I press the G key, when I have the proportional editing tool on, I'm interested in seeing that circle that just popped up. And what that circle is that circle shows us the area of influence that the proportional editing tool is affecting, right? So what you want to do is pull down. Now see how I pull down, and like basically what we're doing is pulling down the chin. That chin is like very pointy there. So what I'm going to do is roll my mouse wheel back. And you see, as I roll the mouse wheel back, the proportioning editing tool smoothed out what is the chin, right? And then I'll push forward just slightly, and then I'm going to left click to lock that in. Okay, now just in the very few movements that we've done so far, we already have a rough shape of the human head, which is why I like this technique. What we're going to do now is press A to deselect those vertices. We're also going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. When you look here, this blue circle, you can tell the proportional editing tool is on. So I didn't press O yet. So watch when I press O, now you can see that's turned off. You know, sometimes you'll have issues as you model. As we go through this, we'll tend to use the proportional editing tool fairly often. If you are having an issue where things are moving that you don't plan to move, take a look right here. And, you know, whether, depending on what's going on, make sure this is either on or off. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. And this is what we're looking at right here. These 8 faces right here. So there's like a row of 4 right here and another 4 faces right here. So what we want to do is click here to go to our face select. We're then going to hover here. We're now going to press C to activate paint select. And paint select basically allows you to imagine this circle as a paintbrush. And whatever I paint, you know, when I left click, it's like I'm painting to select. So I'm just going to, you know, click right here to select these 8 faces right there. Then I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here to go back to the right view. I'm going to hold control in the middle mouse button to zoom back some. With this selected, I'm going to push down just slightly. Then I'm going to press S to scale on the Y axis very slightly. Then I'm going to left click to lock that in. Now I'm going to press E to extrude. And I'm just going to come right down along that colored line you see there. That is a preview line showing us how we're going to extrude. So I'm going to left click right here to lock that extrusion in. When you want to make new geometry in Blender, typically you'll do that by extruding things. And a lot of times when you extrude something, you make that new geometry, then you can pull or push that new geometry. And that's what we did as far as forming the neck that you see right there. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Typically, if you want to scale something, you'll press the S key. What I want you to do now is I want you to press the S key to scale. That's why you see that dotted line right there, because Blender has just activated its scale mode. Now what I want you to do is hold down Shift and then press Z. Now you see all those colored lines that came out. Basically what I told Blender to do was by holding down Shift and then pressing Z, I told Blender I want you to scale in every way but Z. So now I'm just going to pull to the side like this. Then I'm going to left click to lock that scale in. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hold the middle mouse button to rotate to the side. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to hover my mouse here. I'm then going to hold down Control, and then while holding Control, press R. See that line that popped up? That's a preview line for a loop cut. What we want to do is roll the mouse one time, and then that'll give us another loop cut. So then I'm going to left click to lock that in. And when you put a loop cut in Blender, you left click the first time. The loop cut's in, but it's movable. I'm going to move this down very slightly. And then I'm going to left click a second time to totally lock that loop cut in. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view slightly. Now I'm going to press S to scale. Then I'm going to hold Shift. And then while holding Shift, I'm going to press Z. Then I'm going to push in. And that enables us to get some quick shape going on as far as modeling this neck. So then I'm going to press A to deselect those loop edge loops that we had selected there. Okay, now I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, I'm going to hold Control and then hold them in the mouse button to zoom in some. Okay, what you want to do now is make sure you're on Edge Select. If you're not on Edge Select, just click here to be on Edge Select. Then I want you to hold down Alt and then click this edge right here. Because you were holding down Alt when you clicked that edge, you were able to select the entire edge loop, which is exactly what we want. Okay, what we're going to do now is, with that edge loop selected, we're just going to pull up some, about like that. Then we're going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we want to do now is click here to go to front view, and you want to make sure you're in front orthographic view. So it'll say front ortho right here. Okay, when you're working in 3D, one of the things that you can do to work faster and make things easier as you work is to use a mirror modifier. So basically what we're about to do is we're going to select this geometry here, we're going to remove this geometry, and we're basically going to replace this geometry with virtual geometry. So basically whatever we do on this side is going to be mirrored onto this side, and most of the time this is extremely good because human beings tend to be symmetric beings. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to click here and then go to face select. We're then going to press Z and then select wireframe. You can also click here to get to wireframe as well. Now what you're going to do is hover your mouse about here. You're then going to press B for box select. You're then going to left click and drag and then pull to the side. You want to go a little bit past the center point. Then you're going to let go. So now you should have all of this geometry here selected. Okay, see this origin point right here, or this orange dot? This orange dot is your origin point. It is extremely important that this origin point is directly in the center of your model for the mirror modifier to work correctly. I'm going to, with this geometry here selected, I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu, and then I'm going to select faces to delete the geometry on that side. I'm then going to hover my mouse here, then hold them in the mouse button, and then drag to the side. I'm going to go to what looks like this wrench button. This is our modifier button. I'm going to click here. See, it says add modifier here. I'm going to click on this arrow here. And then from this menu that pops up, I'm going to go here and select mirror to add a mirror modifier to our mesh. Okay, so here you can see the mirror modifier on. It's kind of transparent. I don't tend to like having it stay like that. I like to see the mirrored geometry look just like this geometry. There's another option that we need to put is where we're going to put the option on that makes this look like this geometry here. We're also going to put another option that keeps this virtual geometry from pulling apart from this geometry here. So we're going to click here, and this is our clipping option. So by putting this check mark here, this geometry will not pull away from this geometry. Okay, then we're going to put a check, not put a check mark, we're going to click here. And now this geometry looks like that geometry, which is what we want. Okay, now what we're going to do is press Z and then select solid. To go back to solid view, I'm going to hold them in the mouse button and just take a look at what we have here. And if you kind of look at this in a way, it almost looks like a motorcycle helmet. Imagine like this being the helmet part and this being like the visor part, right? For this next step, basically what you want to think about, like if this was like a motorcycle visor here, right? Basically what we want to do is turn this geometry here to make this look more like sunglasses than like a motorcycle visor. Okay, to do that, what we're going to do is click here to go to edge select. We're then going to click here. We're then going to take our manipulator and then we're going to pull up. Now, as you pull up, imagine like, okay, imagine the nose is here, right? So you're trying to, like I said, make like make this look kind of like sunglasses. So basically you're pulling this line up so it's past the nose, right? Because you're basically trying to get, the eye section right there, right? So it kind of, looks like sunglasses now. So what we're going to do is click here. We're going to grab here and then push this down some like that. I'm going to press the N key to bring up our properties panel, and then I'm going to scroll down. And then I'm going to select display and see where it says grid floor right here. I'm going to take away this check mark just to take away the grid floor. Starting to get distracting to me, so I'll take it away. And if you want to leave it there, leave it there. If you want to bring it back, just put a check mark back there and the grid floor will come back. So I'm now going to press N to take away the properties panel. Okay, so we're going to press A to deselect that vertex there. I'm going to click here, and again, we're just thinking about making like sunglasses here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click here to go to edge select. We don't want this edge being too close to this edge right here. That's what we're about to do this next thing. So we're going to click here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. And then I'm going to hold down the control key. So now while holding control, I'm then going to click here. Now when I held the control, I used something in Blender called the shortest path. And that is just a way to select between, most of the time if you don't want to select, if I don't want to select a total edge loop, the whole thing, I'll use the shortest path by holding control and then clicking on an edge. Anyway, with this selected, and with this part not selected, we're just going to take the manipulator and push down like that. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect. Then going to click here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to hold control, then click here. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view back, and just taking a look, I'm holding the middle mouse button again. I would rather this line be straighter rather than kind of like it goes up like that. So what I'm going to do is press S to scale on the Z axis and then press O. And then I'm going to left click to lock that in. And that's just a way that you can quickly straighten out lines as far as, straighten them out lines that are up and down. So now I'm going to press A to deselect that edge. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to take a look at the front. Just taking a look at what we have here. And what we're going to do is we're going to want to put an ear right here. Basically, the ear, you want it to be, the top of the ear to be near the top of the eyes. If you kind of can see this, our eyes are pretty much going to be right here. And then our nose the bottom of our nose will probably be around here. So you want the top of the ear to go from like the top of you want the top of the ear to be near the top of the eyes. And then you want the bottom of the ear to be near the bottom of the nose. So what we're going to do is click here to go to face select. We're then going to press C for paint select. We're then going to click right here to select these 4 faces. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, with this geometry here selected, we're going to press E to extrude. We're then going to left click to lock in. We're then going to press S to scale and then scale in about like that. I'm then going to left click to lock that scale in. Okay, and basically what we just did there was we had this geometry here selected. It was 4 faces, right? We extruded that geometry, so we made new geometry on top of the old geometry, and that new geometry is what you see, scaled down right here. Okay, what we're going to do is hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Typically, I'll rotate the view because I want to see more of like a 3D view. So now what we're going to do is press E to extrude again. There's a preview line showing us how this is going to extrude. I don't want to extrude where it's going to kind of diagonal like that. I want it to come right to the side. So now I'm going to press X. Now you can see when I pressed X, we're going to extrude on the X axis, and we have a preview line showing us how we're going to extrude. So now we're going to pull to the side like this. Then I'm going to left click to lock that extrusion in. Okay, and with these faces here still selected, we're going to press R to rotate on the Z axis, and we're rotating, but again, Blender, one of the nice things is it gives us these preview lines so we can see how we're going to rotate. So we're just going to pull down and rotate to the side like that. And as we go through this, we're basically just trying to get the basic shape right now, so don't be too concerned about how the shapes look now. We're getting the basic shapes in, and then once we have the basic shapes in, that's when we'll be able to go in and more refine the mesh that we're working on. Okay, so I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm going to hold control and hold the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. we don't want these faces here, right? So how do we get rid of these faces while still keeping the geometry that we do want here? And one of the things we can do is we're going to go to vertices select. I'm going to hold control and hold the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm then going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view some. I'm going to click here first, then hold shift and then click here. That order is important. I selected here first, then here. So now with that order selected and with both of those vertices selected, I'm going to hold down Alt and then while holding Alt press M. That brought up our merge menu. So the reason why we brought up our merge menu is we want to merge those two vertices. So now we're going to select at last. So we merged the first vertice to the last vertice here. So we're going to press A. Now we're going to do the same thing again and again for here. So we're going to click here first, hold shift, then click here. Now hold Alt. While holding Alt, press M. Our merge menu pops up. Then we're going to select at last. Okay, so we're going to press A to deselect. We're then going to click here, hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view, hold shift, then click here, then hold down Alt, then while holding Alt, press M. This brings up our merge menu. We're then going to select at last. And then we're going to press A to deselect. Okay, we still have vertices select on, so I'll grab this, pull this up a little bit, push this out a little bit, just so we have some basic shape going on, making that look somewhat like an ear. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to hold control on the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, now what we want to do is click here to go to face select. We're then going to click here. Then I'm going to hold shift, then click here, then click here as well. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button so you can see, all of the faces that we have selected. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to press E to extrude and then left click to lock in. Doesn't look like we did anything, but what we just did was we created new geometry on top of the old geometry. I'm now going to press S to scale this down some, about like that. I'm then going to left click to lock that in. I'm now going to click here to go to edge select. I'm then going to click here, and we want to push this over more because our nose is basically going to be formed right here. So what we're going to do is press O to turn on our proportional editing tool. And you can see there's our blue circle that we talked about before. Now we're going to press G so we can see the area of influence of our proportional editing tool. And now we're going to press X. So then we're just going to push this geometry toward each other like that. Maybe a little bit more. Then I'm going to left click to lock in that move change. And then I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to press O to turn off our proportional editing tool. We're then going to click here to go back to face select. We're going to hover here, press C, and then select this geometry here. We're then going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, now what we're going to do is press E to extrude and then left click to lock in. We just created new geometry on top of the old geometry. So what we're going to do now is scale that new geometry. So we're going to press S to scale, about to there. I'm then going to left click to lock that scale in. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view. And hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view some more. We actually want to take the manipulator and push this out some like this. Okay, now what we're going to do is hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm now going to hold control and the middle mouse button to zoom in. We're then going to click here to go to edge select. I'm then going to press A to deselect. We're then going to click here and then pull this back some like that. I'm now going to hold to the side, hold the middle mouse button to turn to the side is what I meant to say. I'm going to pull this out some, hold the middle mouse button to just, take a look at that. I'm going to hold control and the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm going to take the manipulator and push this in just a little bit. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to hover here. We're then going to hold down control. And then while holding control, we're going to press the R key. That puts one loop cut preview up to show us where a loop cut's going to go. We're going to roll the mouse wheel one time. So we have two loop cuts. And then we're going to left click to lock in. When you left click one time, your loop cuts are still movable. Now we're going to left click a second time to totally lock those loop cuts in. Okay, and when we put those loop cuts in, we set up for adding more detail to the mouth, as well as preparing the setup to extrude a nose out. So what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm now going to hover my mouse here, hold down Control, and then while holding Control, I'm going to press R to put a loop cut right there. So I'm going to left click once and then left click a second time to totally lock that in. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. And what you want to do is see this right here, this space right above the mouth. You don't want this space to be part of the nose. Here's going to be the mouth, right? There's a space right here. This isn't part of the nose. However, this right here, this is all the nose, right? So what you want to do is go to Face Select. You want to click here, hold Shift, click here, here, as well as here. All right? So then you have the space here, and then the mouth. And that's kind of how you can tell where the nose, should be at. Okay, now we're going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate to the side. We're then going to press E to extrude on the Y axis like this. Then we're going to left click to lock that in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button so you can see how far we brought that out. So now I'm going to hold Control as well as hold the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Rotating the view because I want to see this edge right here. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to Edge Select. We're going to click here, pull this edge in some. I'm going to hold to the middle mouse button just to take a look. We're going to grab this edge. We're going to pull this up some, then pull this back some. We're going to grab this edge, pull this up some, then pull this back some. Grab this edge, and then pull this up some. We'll leave it there. We'll grab this, and we'll pull this up some like this, and then push this out some. I guess we'll click here. Not guess, we will click there. And again, don't, be too concerned with we're getting the general shape of this face going. So now we turn towards the front. We'll click here. We'll, push this in here. I'm going to hold the mouse button, rotate it side. We'll click here. We'll push this here. Holding the mouse button, rotate the view. Grab here. And then see if we want to grab this whole area here. What we can do is we can press O to turn the proportional editing tool on. We'll then press G. Now we can see our area of influence. It's way too big, so we'll roll the mouse wheel to zoom that down some, right? So now whatever's in that area of influence, which is that circle, will be affected. So now we'll press X, and we'll just push over like this. Then we can actually roll the mouse wheel up and see how everything else kind of like comes in line. So then I'm going to left click to lock that move in. Then I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here to go to Face Select. We can see our proportional editing tool is still on, so we're going to press O to turn that off. We're then going to click here. This is going to be where our nostril comes out of. So what we're going to do is press E to extrude on the X axis. We can see a preview line right there showing us how we're going to extrude. Then we're just going to pull to the side to bring that extrusion out. We're then going to left click to lock that movement of that extrusion in. Okay, with this face selected, what we're going to do now is we're going to press S to scale this down some like this. I'm then going to left click to lock that in. I'm then going to hold the mouse button to turn to the side. See how this is coming out? We want this edge pretty much flat against the face. We're going to pull this back. I'll hold the mouse button to take a look. Maybe push it down a little. Hold the mouse button. We'll bring this in some like that. And then push it down a little bit more like that. I'm then going to press A to deselect that face right there. Okay, what we're going to do now, still with face select on, I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to click here. I'm now going to press E to extrude. And then I'm actually going to push up on that extrusion line a little bit and then left click to lock that extrusion in. Okay, I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press S to scale like this. Then left click to lock that in. Just holding the mouse button, just taking a look. I'm then going to push this. I'm pushing this face towards this face. Now remember, this is our virtual geometry here. So if you're like, well, why is it scaling? It's because our actual geometry, which is here, and then our virtual geometry here, and then this clipping here, basically this clipping keeps this geometry from pulling away. And then when we, push it towards each other, when we push geometry towards each other, or the center line here, it being the geometry will appear to be scaling down. And then when we pull the geometry away from the center line, the geometry will appear to be scaling up. Okay, so I'm going to push this a little bit more towards itself. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate up now. Then I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, so what we're going to do now with face select on, we're going to click here, hold shift, and then click here. We actually want this face to separate from the other face right next to it. So we're going to temporarily turn off this clipping. I'm then going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. I'm then going to press S to scale this geometry down some like this. Then I'm going to left click to lock in that scale. And then I'm going to click here to turn that clipping back on. Okay, I'm going to hold my middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press E to extrude. You can see an extrusion line there. That's fine for now, so we're just going to push up. Not too much. Then I'm going to left click to lock in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press S to scale that face down some. Then I'm going to left click to lock in again as far as that scale. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view, and I'm just looking to make sure that we didn't push up so far that this geometry popped in. If it did pop through, just take your manipulator, it being that selected geometry right there, if it came through the top, you just take your manipulator and then just push back down. So I'm going to press A to deselect now. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold the control button and hold the middle mouse button as well. We're going to go to edge select. We don't want this edge. We want this edge right here. So we have our mouth. Then we have the edge right underneath the mouth, which we don't want. Then we want this edge, and we want this edge to push the chin out. So I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to take the manipulator and push forward like that some to form our chin. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here to go to face select. We're then going to click here, hold shift, and then while holding shift, click here. I'm then going to press X to bring up our delete menu. We're then going to choose faces to delete. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click here to go to edge select. I'm then going to hold Alt, and then while holding Alt, select this edge. Because I was holding Alt, we were able to select the entire edge. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. We're now going to press E to extrude and then left click to lock in. When we press E to extrude, we just created new geometry. We're now going to press S to scale in that new geometry right here, like this. I'm then going to left click to lock that scale in. Okay, what we're going to do now is hover our mouse right here. I'm going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, I'm going to press B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box right here to zoom in. Okay, now what I'm going to do is hold the middle mouse button to rotate to the side. I'm then going to press E and then left click to lock that extrusion in. When I press E, we made an extrusion, which is new geometry. And now with that new geometry, we're going to take our manipulator and we're going to pull back some about like this. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press E to extrude to make new geometry. I'm then going to left click to lock that new geometry in. I'm then going to press S to scale and then pull back some like this. And then left click to lock that movement of that new geometry in. Okay, now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Now I'm going to press E to extrude on the Y axis. Then I'm going to pull back some like this. Then I'm going to left click to lock that extrusion and move in. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. And it's probably fairly difficult for you to see what's going on. One of the things that we can do to make it easier for you is I can actually temporarily turn off the mirror modifier. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. Now you can see what's going on inside of here as we extrude back. So what I actually want is I want this to be straight. I don't want it to be, you know, that irregular shape like it is. So I'm actually going to take the manipulator and pull back a little bit more. Then what I'm going to do is press S to scale on the Y-axis 0, and then left click to lock that scale in, and we're able to have this, you know, be straight now. Okay, so I'm going to click this eye to turn our mirror modifier back on. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press E to extrude on the Y-axis, back a little bit more. I'm then going to left click to lock that in. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press S to scale on the Z-axis like this. Then left click to lock that in. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Hold the middle mouse button and rotate a little bit more. Then I'm just going to pull back a little bit more like that, holding the middle mouse button just to take a look. Now I'm going to press S to scale on the X-axis. And then I'm going to left click to lock that scale in like that. Then I'm going to press A to deselect. Now I'm going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Then I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan the view. Okay, what we're going to do now is go to Face Select. And then I'm going to press C for Paint Select and paint this geometry right here. I'm then going to right click to get out of Paint Select. I'm then going to press O to turn on our proportional editing tool. Now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, I'm going to press G so we can see the area of our area of influence. I'm going to roll this mouse wheel back a little bit to increase the area of influence. I'm then going to left click to lock that area of influence in. The shape, you know, the size of it basically. So now I'm going to press S, and then we're going to, you know, scroll the ears, scale the ears down a little bit. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I put my mouse right here so I could click on this chin, or this face that's on the side of the chin right here. Okay, actually I'm going to press C for Paint Select and select this, all this right here. Then I'm going to right click to get out of Paint Select. I'm then going to press S to scale this down some. Then I'm going to push up some like that. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button and take a look. Now I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, with Face Select still on, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. Click here, then here. I'll click here as well as here as well. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm now going to press G and push in some. I'm going to roll the middle mouse button like that. Then I'm going to left click to lock that in. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is press O to turn off our proportional editing tool. Then I'm going to press C and then select those four faces right there. And then I'm going to right click to get out of Paint Select. Okay, now we're going to press E to extrude and then left click to lock that in. Then I'm going to press S to scale. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm then going to go to Edge Select. I'm going to click right here. Hold Shift, then click right here and pull this back some. Holding the middle mouse button just to take a look. Now I'm going to click here, hold Shift, then click here, here as well as here. I'm then going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. I'm then going to press S to scale like this. I'm then going to press S to scale on the Z axis like this. Holding the middle mouse button to take a look. I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis some like this. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm just taking a look. Then I'm going to press E to extrude, left click to lock in. I'm I'm going to push this back some like that. And then I am going to press S to scale down some like that. Then I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu. And then I'm going to select faces to delete the faces there. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Now I'm going to click here to go to edge select. I'm then going to hold Alt and then click this edge right here. Because I was holding Alt, I was able to select that entire edge loop. Okay, the reason why we wanted to select that edge loop was so we could place our 3D cursor directly in the center of that edge loop. So what we're going to do now is hold down Shift, and then while holding Shift, press S. This brings up our Snap to menu. And then what we want to select is cursor to selected. So we'll just click here to select that. And we can see that our 3D cursor jumped directly to the center of that edge loop that is, currently selected. Okay, in Blender, objects tend to come into Blender where the 3D cursor is at. That's why we wanted the 3D cursor there. We've been in edit mode for a good amount of time now. Now what we're going to do is click here and then go to object mode. And we came to object mode so we could bring a UV sphere in. To do that, we're going to hold down Shift, and then while holding Shift, press the A key. This brings our add menu up. We're going to then go to Mesh, and then we're going to go here, scroll up, and then we want to select UV sphere. Okay, when your UV sphere comes in, if you look over to your left, you'll see this menu that pops up. It says Add UV sphere at the top. See where it says segments here, you want to click this and then change this to 12. Then where it says rings here, you want to click here and then change those rings to 12 as well. And then we're going to press enter to lock those segments and rings in. Okay, basically what we're about to do is we're about to make the eyes as well as the eyelids. So what we're going to do, so we can just focus on just the eye, is see where it says view global/local. When you go into local mode, it's a special viewing mode that allows you to just focus on what you're currently selected on. So we're going to click this, and if you look here, you can see it says local. This is important because sometimes you'll have a save file and you'll come in and everything looks like it's gone. All of the other geometry is still there. It's just hidden because we're currently in local mode. So being in local mode and with our UV sphere selected, we're then going to click here and then select edit mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here to go to front view. And with this UV sphere selected, we're going to press and hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, we're going to press D. So we just duplicated that UV sphere. Typically, I pull to the side just so I know that I actually duplicated what I was trying to duplicate. I'm then going to right click to get that sphere to jump right back into place. Okay, so with the duplicated UV sphere selected, what we're going to do now is press S to scale 0.80, and then I'm going to left click to lock that scale in. And what that did, that scale and then the 0.80 was made us scale the UV sphere to 80% of what it was. So even though we can't see that UV sphere because that UV sphere is currently inside of this sphere, we're still selected on it. So what we're going to do is press R to rotate on the X-axis 90, and then I'm going to either left click or press enter on the keyboard to lock that rotation in. Okay, now what we're going to do is press A to deselect that sphere that's currently inside of this sphere. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click here to go to face select. We want to select all of the faces that are below this center point right here. So with face select on, I'm going to hold Alt, and then I'm going to select right here to grab this row of or loop of faces here. Now I'm going to press C for paint select and select all of these faces here. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select, hold the middle mouse button. I just let go of the middle mouse button. Now I'm pressing C for paint select and just selecting all this right here. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select. Then I'm going to click here to go back to front view. Now I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu. Then I'm going to choose faces to delete. Okay, and we can see here's the UV sphere that we previously scaled down and then rotated. Now I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, now I'm going to then click here to go to edge select. I'm then going to hold Alt and then select an edge right here. And because I was holding Alt, I selected the entire edge loop. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm now going to press E to extrude and then left click to lock that extrusion in. We just made new geometry, so I'm going to press S to scale and then scale that edge into the eye like that. Then I'm going to left click to lock in. I'm then going to press A to deselect that edge that that we just scaled down there. Okay, so now I'm going to click here and then go to right view. Okay, what we want to do is rotate this eyelid here, right? If we rotate now, it will not rotate correctly. What we want it to do, it being the eyelid, is rotate right on this right here. The way we can set that up is we can click here, which are our pivot point options for Blender. The default pivot point of Blender is the median point. We want to change this to the 3D cursor. So after I click this, our pivot point will be the 3D cursor, which is right here. Okay, so now I'm going to click here to go to face select. I'm then going to hover here and then press L to select all of this, one piece right here. When you're in Blender and you are hovering over a separate piece of your mesh, pressing L typically will allow you to select that entire mesh. Okay, now what we're going to do is, with this eyelid selected, we're going to press and hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, we're going to press D, pull to the side. I tend to pull to the side just so I know that I definitely duplicated what I had selected. I'm now going to right-click to get that mesh to jump right back into place. Now I'm going to press R to rotate, and rotate this down just like this. I'm now going to hover here. I'm going to press A to deselect the bottom eyelid. Now I'm going to press L to select the top eyelid. Then I'm going to press R to rotate up like that. Now I'm going to press A to deselect and then hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view, so we can see what this looks like from the front. Okay, now what we're going to do is with face select still on, I'm going to hover here, then press C. I'm then going to paint select all of these faces here. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate to the side. Okay, now what we're going to do is click here on our pivot point option, and we're going to change the pivot point from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point. Okay, just to be clear, there's no extruded faces there. So I'm going to press S to scale on the Y-axis, -1, and then left click to lock that in. I'm then going to take the manipulator and pull this back just a little, holding the middle mouse button. Take a look. See this right here? So I'm just going to pull back just like that. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Then I'm going to press A to deselect. Then I'm going to hover here, then press C for paint select. Select all of those faces there. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press E to extrude. Left click to lock in. Then I'm going to take the manipulator and pull back something like that. Hold the middle mouse button. You can see, what we just did. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, what we're going to do now is we want to make sure that the eyelid has fairly sharp edges as well as the eye also. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here. We're then going to hold Alt and then select here. And then I'm going to press and hold Control and then press B. And then just pull back slightly. And what I did there was I did a bevel command with Blender by pressing Control B. And a bevel, basically, it takes one edge and splits it into more than one edge. So if you look to your left here, you can see these options where it says bevel here, right? You want to change this where it says segments to 2. And then where it says profile, you want to click here and then press 1. And then I'm going to press enter to lock that in. Then I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold Alt, then select here. I'll then hold Control, then while holding Control, press B. I'm then going to hold down Shift for a fine movement as I turn to the side. I'm then going to left click to lock that in. Then I'm going to make sure that this segment is set for 2. So I'm going to click here, then press 2, then press enter. I'll then click for profile. I want to make sure that this says 1, so I'll enter 1 on the keyboard, and then I'll press enter to lock that in. I'll then press A to deselect. I'll then hold Alt and then click here. I'll then hold Control, and then while holding Control, press B. I'm then going to hold Shift and then pull to the side. And then I'll left click that in. Then I'll press A to deselect. Then I'm going to hold Alt. And then left click here. I'm then going to hold Control, and then while holding Control, press B. I'm then going to hold Shift so I can do a fine movement, and then left click to lock that in. I'll then press A to deselect. Okay, what I'll do now is I'll click here to come out of local view and then come back into global view. Then I'm going to click here and then go to object view. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm then going to press S to scale this down some. Like that. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to take a look. I'm going to push this over just slightly like that. Now what I'm going to do is click front from our navigation tab. What I want to do is duplicate this eye perfectly to the other side, right? So what I'm going to do is I want to put the 3D cursor right here, so I can do that by holding Shift and then while holding Shift pressing C. So the 3D cursor is right in the center. So now I'll press and hold Shift, then press B, and then draw a zoom box to zoom back in on the face. I have this eye selected, so what I'm going to do is first I'm going to hold down Control and then press 2. What I did was I just put a subdivision surface modifier on that eye, which is a modifier that smooths things out. Then I'm going to click here to apply that, make it look like that modifier is applied. I'm rolling the mouse wheel to zoom in. Now I'm going to press Z and then select Shade Smooth for that eye. And I did that before I set up to duplicate this, just because I didn't want to have to do that twice. So now I'm going to, with this eye selected, I'm going to hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, press D. I'll then pull to the side just so I know the eye is duplicated. I'll then right click to get that duplicated eye to jump right back into place. Now I'll go to our pivot point. I'll click here. Then I'm going to change our pivot point from Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, to the 3D cursor. Okay, so now with the pivot point set for the 3D cursor and my duplicate eye selected, I'm going to press S to scale on the x-axis, -1, and then left click to lock that in. Okay, so we're going to be doing some sculpting on the face, so I'm not going to put the shade smooth on here. We're just going to leave it with the flat shading, it being the main mesh of our face. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this pivot point, and we're going to change the pivot point from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point. Okay, and with our main mesh selected, we're also going to temporarily turn off this eye. We're then going to click here and then go into edit mode. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Then I'm going to go to face select. Okay, with face select on, I'm going to press C and then paint these faces right here. I'm then going to right click that to get out of paint select. I'm then going to press E and then left click to lock that extrusion in. It doesn't look like we did anything, but we just made new geometry on top of the old geometry. I'm then going to press S to scale that new geometry down. I'm then going to left click to lock that new geometry in. I'm then going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press E to extrude and then push in like that. Then I'm going to press left click to lock in that move. I'm then going to press S to scale down. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm Now I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view. Then I'm going to hover here. While hovering here with my mouse, I'm going to hold control, and then while holding control, I'm going to press R. And then I'm going to left click one time. Because I left clicked one time, I can move this loop cut. So now I'm going to move it in some like that. I'm then going to left click a second time to totally lock that loop cut in. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to hold shift and then hold them in the mouse button to pan the view. Now I'm going to hover my mouse here, then hold shift, then while holding shift, press B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box right here to zoom in. Now I'm going to click here, then I'm going to hold control, then click here, then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to take the manipulator and then push in some like that. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, I'm going to hold control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button. I let go of control. I'm just rotating back to the front. I'm then going to click here to go back to object mode. Okay, and with the main mesh selected, I'm then going to click here to make it look like our subdivision surface is applied again. I'm also going to click here. Well, I'd actually turn the subdivision surface on by clicking here, and this makes it look like it's applied. Okay, so I'm just looking at it right now. With this mesh selector, we're going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, we're going to press D. Just pulling to the side so I know that this mesh is duplicated. I'm then going to right click to get this mesh to jump right back into place. I'm then going to press M to bring up our move to layer. I'm then going to click here to move the duplicated mesh into this layer right here. So after we apply our modifiers to this mesh, if we have some kind of issue where we need to go back, we have our duplicate right here that we can go back to. Okay, I want to scale both eyes down a little bit. One way we can do that is we can click here, hold shift, and then click here, and then go to Blender's pivot point options, and then change the pivot point from the median point to individual origins. Okay, now I'm going to press S to scale, and we're going to scale the eyes down some, so about there. I'm then going to left click to lock that scale in. Because we had the individual origins pivot point set, when we scaled both eyes, even though they're both selected, they both scaled in the same way, so they're both still the same size. So what we're going to do now is click here and change the pivot point from individual origins back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point. Okay, what we're going to do now is click back on the mesh. We're going to click here to temporarily turn off the subdivision surface again. We're then going to click here and go back into edit mode. Okay, I'm going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, press B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box to zoom in. I'm then going to go to edge select. I'm going to click here and push this edge in. The reason why I'm doing that is because that edge was, just kind of distorted. You can see this right here. I'll grab here, this edge here, push this out some. Grab this geometry that I can see actually through here. I'm rolling the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'll press C, and then I'll just grab that and pull that back some. Okay, I'm going to click here, grab this edge, and push this in some. You can see that geometry there from me doing that. So I'll just, grab that, push that back some. Just hold them in the mouse button and take a look. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel back. We're also going to hold control, and then while holding control, press R to put a loop cut right here. Just going to move the mouse to get that to be tighter around the lips. I'm then going to left click to lock that in. Then going to press A to deselect. Okay, now what we're going to do is click here to turn our subdivision surface modifier back on. We're then going to click here and then go to scope mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold control and the middle mouse button to zoom in. Then I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Then I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan the view. And then I'm going to click on tools right here, click here, and then select inflate. I'm then going to press F and then pull to increase the area of the influence of the inflate brush. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view a little bit more. And I'm trying to rotate the view so we can just hit this lip right here without hitting the geometry that's inside of the mouth. So now I'm just trying to inflate this right here. And now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, rotate the view, and do the same thing right here. I'm holding the middle mouse button to rotate the view. And that's what we want, is actually for the mouth to close. But you can see it happening. Press F and increase the area of influence. Now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan the view. Now we're going to click here, go to snake hook. We'll just pull. It's back right here. I'm actually going to click here, then go to edit mode. And this is kind of a neat thing you can do. I'm going to select here, hold shift. Select all of this geometry here. Then I'm going to press H. Okay, the reason why I did that is when you're in edit mode and you hide geometry here, when I click here and then go back to sculpt mode, you can see the geometry right there, right? However, even though we can see the geometry, because it's hidden in edit mode, we will not be able to affect this geometry here. So hiding things in edit mode is kind of like a cool way of masking things in a sense in sculpt mode. So now if I want to pull this lip back, which I do, watch the top lip. A little teeny bit, it's moving. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, so now we're gonna come up here, we'll zoom in, shrink this down, we'll push this here. Okay, I'm gonna hold control and the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm gonna hold the middle mouse button, turn back towards the front. And what we're gonna do now is click here, then go to edit mode. We'll hold Alt, then press H to unhide our geometry here. We'll then click here. I'll then press A to deselect. We'll press O for proportional editing tool so we can see it. Press G and pull this down some, like that. I'll select here. Press G so we can see the proportional editing tool. I'm going to shrink it down smaller. I'm going to press G to actually move that, like that. And I'm going to press O to deselect proportional editing. Then I'm going to press A to deselect the geometry there. Okay, now we're going to go to face select. We're going to press C, paint all of this geometry right here. Right click to get out of paint select. I'm now going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm then going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool. And then I'm going to press G so we can see the area of influence, then roll the mouse to make it bigger. Push this up some. in some like this, holding them in the mouse button. Just rotate slightly. Okay, I'm going to hold them in the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to hold Alt, and then while holding Alt, press S. And push up slightly. I'm going to left click to lock that scale in. Then I'm going to click. I'm going to go to Edge Select. I'm going to press A to deselect. Click here. I'm going to press G to see our area of influence. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to shrink that down. Okay, now we're going to press A to deselect them. Then I'm going to click here and come to Object Mode to take a look. Okay, we're going to click here, go into Sculpt Mode. We're on our snake hook brush, which is fine. We're going to press F and then push in to shrink our area of influence. We're just going to grab right here and push in some here. We're going to grab here, push in some here. We're going to grab these ears. Push in some like that. Okay, we're going to grab here and push this in some like that. Okay, and we're going to grab here, push in a little bit here, push in a little bit here, pull out slightly here. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here and then click on our smooth brush. We're then going to hover our mouse here, which is over the smooth brush's strength. We're then going to hold down Control and then roll our mouse wheel to adjust the value here. Take this down to about 0.24. Okay, now I'm going to press F and then push in to adjust the area of influence for the brush, and we're just going to smooth out around here somewhat. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here, select Object Mode. We're actually going to click here. We're going to press X to bring up our delete menu. Then we're going to choose to delete that eye. We're then going to click here, and then click here, and then go into edit mode for this eye. Okay, so what we want to do here is we're going to hover here. We're then going to press L to select the eyeball. We're then going to press H to hide that. We're then going to hover here and then press L. And then we're going to press H to hide that lower eyelid as well. Okay, now we're going to click here and then go to scope mode. And we should be able to work with just this top eyelid and not have to be concerned about the eyeball or the bottom eyelid being affected as we sculpt. Okay, so I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan down. I'm then going to press and hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, press B. I'm then going to draw a zoom box to zoom in here, like that, so we can easily see the eyelid. Okay, now we're going to click here. We're then going to go to our snake hook brush. We also want to scroll down and see where it says symmetry lock. We want to click here, and we want to temporarily turn off this, or maybe for the eye, not temporarily. We want to turn off this mirror, the X mirror for symmetry for the eye. So what we want is we want to pull this eye down, this part of the eye. We want this thickness of the eye to show and show well as we work on this eyelid. So we want this part down, this part kind of up. Okay, I'm going to roll my mouse wheel to zoom in even closer. Then I'm going to click and drag right here, pull this up. Okay, what we're going to do now is grab right here, pull down some, and then push this way some, like that. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to click here and then go to edit mode. We're going to select face select, and then we're going to click here, hold shift, and then click here, 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 as well as here. Okay, now we're going to press E to extrude, and we can see a extrusion preview line right there. We're just going to pull down to ride right along that extrusion line. Then we're going to left click to lock that in. Okay, now with face select still on, we're going to hold shift and we're going to select here, 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 as well as here. Okay, and what we want to do is have this be visible, but everything else, as far as this geometry here, be hidden. And one way we can do that easily is we can press and hold shift, and then while holding shift, press H. So now only what we have selected is visible while everything else is currently hidden. And that is nice because that also means that when we go to sculpt mode, we'll only be able to affect the geometry that you currently see here. So what we're going to do is click here and then select sculpt mode. Okay, so you can see here we basically made eyelashes. So now we're going to scroll up. We're on our snake hook brush, which is good. We're going to press F and then pull back to increase the area of influence for our snake hook brush. Then we're just going to pull to the side like that. Maybe a little bit more like that. Okay, now we're going to hold Control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm then going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm then going to click here to go to object mode. Okay, with this eye selected, what we're going to do is press and hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, press D. I'm going to pull to the side just so I know my geometry is duplicated. I'm then going to right click to get that geometry to jump right back into place. It looks like the 3D cursor is right in the center. I'm not totally sure, so I'm going to hold down Shift. Then while holding Shift, press C. And the 3D cursor should be in the center since Shift C makes it go to the center. So now I'm going to hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, press B. I'm then going to draw a box, or zoom box as I like to say, to zoom back in. And what we want to do now is make this 3D cursor our pivot point. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our pivot point here, selection. We're going to change the pivot point from Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point, to the 3D cursor. And currently we're in user ortho, so if things don't look, they look slightly skewed, it's because we're in the user orthographic view. So if you click here to go back to your navigation, and then you click front, now you can see we're in front orthographic view, and you can see that everything is perfectly straight now. Not that you have to have this to duplicate the eye to the other side, but this definitely helps as far as laying things out, I think, being in front orthographic view. So we have the duplicate eye selected. So what we're going to do now is press S to scale on the x-axis, -1, and then left click to lock that in. And the reason why that worked was because the 3D cursor is right there, and then we have the pivot point set up for things to pivot on the 3D cursor. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is click here and then change the pivot point from the 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the medium point. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click on our mesh here. We're then going to press and hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, press D. I'm going to pull to the side so I know this is duplicated. I'm going to right click to get that to jump right back into place. I'm then going to press M to bring up a Move To layer panel. I'm then going to click here to make that mesh go to this layer right here. We did that just so we have a backup to go to in case we have some kind of issue with the mesh, since we're about to apply modifiers to the mesh that we've been working on. So we have the modifiers on the mesh, right? but we don't have them applied. So what we're about to do is to apply those modifiers. So I'm going to click on this mesh right here. Okay, with this mesh clicked on, we can see our modifiers here. Right before I started this tutorial, I saw that Blender 2.8 was ready to download, which I was very pleased about. One of the things we get in Blender 2.8 is before, when you had modifiers on and you wanted to apply them, you would click here, click here, click however many modifiers you had to do it one at a time, with the basic version of Blender. Now, with Blender 2.8, we can just go here and click apply all, which is very cool. Okay, what we're going to do now with our modifiers applied is we're going to click here and then go to sculpt mode. We're then going to click on tools here. We're then going to scroll down where it says symmetry lock. We want to make sure that this mirror is set up for the x-axis. We're going to click right here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to put a check mark here next to Dynamic Typology. Then we're going to click this arrow. We're going to change where it says relative detail right here. We're going to click here, and then we're going to select constant detail. We're then going to, where it says detail right here, we're going to click here, and then we're going to press 1, 0 to enter in a value of 10 for our detail. Then we're going to press enter to lock that in. I learned how to set up the details for Dynamic Typology from the Genzas brothers, which I am very thankful for. I learned that, and they have a spectacular tutorial on their YouTube channel. It's the YouTube channel is named the Genzas brothers. So I recommend you check that out for some excellent tips and techniques as far as sculpting. Okay, what we're going to do now is go here, scroll up. I'm then going to click here. These are all of our brushes. A lot of times people like to use the clay strips brush to build things up. As far as geometry, I'd like to use the blob brush. I'm going to click here to select the blob brush. Okay, I'm going to hold the control key down as well as the mouse button to zoom in some. Okay, I'm going to press F and then push in with my mouse to shrink the area of influence. I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. And we kind of want to put like a U here, like going from here to here, and then have that U kind of turn into a Y with like a line coming down here. So I'm going to zoom in some more. This. And we can smooth this stuff out, so don't let it, get to you too much as far as, it being too much. Okay, I'm going to hold control and then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. We're now going to click here and put some geometry right there. A bit more right there. Okay, now what we can do is hold shift. And by holding shift, every time I click, this turns to a smooth brush as I hold the shift key down. So we can just, take this here and hold shift and just smooth this out. Holding the mouse button to rotate the view. Holding the mouse button to rotate the view. Still holding shift and just smoothing out. Okay, I'm holding the mouse button to rotate the view. Hold shift and smooth out some more right here. Just roll the mouse wheel to zoom back some. Okay, I'm going to hold control and hold the mouse button to zoom in some. I'm going to press F and then push in some. Just going to build up the chin a little bit right here. Holding them in the mouse button. Take a look. Now I'm going to hold shift and smooth this down some. Hold control. I'm in the mouse button to zoom in some. Okay, I'm going to hold control in the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold shift in the middle mouse button to smooth out some here. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Just taking a look. Then I'm going to click here, then go to our snake hook brush. Snake hook brush is very good for moving geometry around. Particularly, I find it to be like the smooth tool. The smooth tool tends to work very well for me when I come into sculpt mode when I'm dealing with fairly low poly models. And then once the polygons go up, it seems that the snake hook brush is the best thing to use. And you know, the snake hook brush is also good with tends to be good with low geometry as well, but it tends to really come into its own, it seems, when you're moving geometry that has a higher polygon count. Okay, so I'm going to press F and then pull to the side to make the area of influence go bigger for the or be bigger for the snake hook brush. I can see some space right here, so I'm going to grab here and push in some like that. I find the snake hook brush works very good as far as moving geometry with higher polygon models. What I want to do now is add some sharpness to our features. So I'm going to click here and then select the crease brush. The crease brush default setting for its add subtract modes is subtract. Most of the time with brushes in Blender sculpt mode, the default mode is set for add. When we hold control over a brush, the brush goes to the opposite of what it's currently set for. So when we hold control while using the crease brush, that goes to the crease brush's add mode. Now that's very good as for using the crease brush as far as sharpening features like what we're going to do now. Okay, so I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to hold control in the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to hold shift in the middle mouse button to pan. And then what I'm going to do is this area right here, I want to be sharpened up, right? So I'm going to press F and then push in to decrease the area of influence for the crease brush. I also want to scroll down, and we currently have our detail setting set for 10. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to change this to 5. And then I'm going to press enter to lock that in. Okay, the reason why we lowered the detail setting down is because we're using dynamic typology. We'll be able to get finer details, and when you tend to sharpen things like this, you're going to need those finer details. I would recommend that you try not to go below 5 because my computer starts to have issues when I go below 5. So anyway, with that set to 5, we're going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom in. I'm going to hold control, and then we're just going to go right here on the bridge of the nose. And you see that how that's sharpening up, and that's what we want. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to hold them in the mouse button. What I want is I want right here to have like a kind of like a crease. So I'm going to hold control and hold them in the mouse button to zoom in. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Then I'm just going to come right here. I'm holding control, by the way. Now I just let go. Okay, I'm going to scroll up. I'm going to hold the mouse button, turn to the side, and I'm going to hold shift. Smooth that in a little. want to make this a little bit harder here, so I'm going to hold Control. Okay, I'm going to hold Control and the middle mouse button to zoom back. Just hold the middle mouse button to take a look. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm now going to click here and then select Object Mode. I'm now going to click on this eye and then hold Shift and then click this eye as well while holding Shift. So now I have both the eyes selected and I just let go of Shift. Okay, so what we're about to do now is we're going to duplicate these eye mesh pieces here, and then we're going to move them to another layer. So with both of those eye meshes selected, I'm going to hold Shift, and then while holding Shift, press D. I'm going to pull to the side a little bit just so I know that that geometry was duplicated. I'm then going to right click to get it to jump right back into place. I'm then going to press M to bring up our Move To Layer panel, and then I'm going to click here to move the duplicate eye meshes to this layer. And you can also see that layer right here. Now the reason why we did that was so that we can go back to that eye geometry if we need it, because we're about to add these eye meshes, or I should say we're about to join these eye meshes to this current mesh right here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click here, then click here, then go into edit mode. We're then going to hold Alt, and then while holding Alt, press H. We're then going to hold down Control, and then while holding Control, press N to have Blender attempt to recalculate the normals, just so if there's any issues here that, they could hopefully be resolved by that. We're then going to press A to deselect. We're going to make sure we're on face select, which we are. We're then going to hover here over the eyeball. We're then going to press L to select the eyeball. We're then going to press P to have our separate menu pop up, and then we're going to choose selection to have the eyeball become a separate object from the rest of the eye mesh here. Okay, now we're going to click here and then select object mode to go back to object mode. We're still selected on the eye mesh that's not, the eyeball. So now we're going to go right here and click Apply All to apply all the modifiers onto our selected geometry there. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here, then click here, then click here to go into edit mode. We're then going to hold Alt, and then while holding Alt, press H. I'm then going to press A to deselect. I'm not going to recalculate the normals. On the other side, I saw a little bit of shading that looked kind of strange, that normally is kind of how you can tell that your normals aren't right. The normals should be good for this eye. I'm going to hover here and then press L, and then when we pressed L, we were able to select all of the geometry just like on the other side for the eyeball. So now I'm going to press P to bring up our separate menu. Then I'm going to choose selection. Okay, so what we're going to do now is click here, then click here to come back to object mode. Then we're going to click Apply All so that all of the modifiers are applied to the eye mesh that we currently have selected. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to click on this tab right here. This is the Boolean tab. We're now going to click here, then hold Shift, and then click here. I'm not sure why Union isn't working for me right now, but Subtract is working. And when I say working, what I want is for this eye mesh to be connected to this mesh right here. And I don't want there to be any additional geometry, left over from this connection. I want this to connect, and then as it connects, if this makes sense, for the intersecting pieces to go away. So long story short, this works. So I selected this first, I held Shift, and I selected this. Now I'm going to click Subtract. Okay, so now this is here, and this is the original eye mesh. And now I'm going to press G, move this to the side, and then left click to lock that into place. And now I'm going to press X to bring up our delete menu, and then choose delete to get rid of that geometry, since we Don't need it anymore. Okay, so now what we're going to do is click here, hold shift, and then click here, then go here and click subtract. So now we have this geometry selected still, so we're going to press G, pull it to the side, left click to lock that in, and then press X to bring up our delete menu, and then choose delete. Okay, the shading looks kind of strange here, which, like I had mentioned previously, is normally the way you can tell your normals aren't right. So we're going to click on here, then we're going to click edit, and we can see here that our iMesh pieces are properly integrated into our main mesh. I'm then going to press A to deselect that area right there. I'm then going to press A to select everything. I'm going to hold down Control, and then while holding Control, press N to have Blender attempt to recalculate the normals. I'm then going to click here and then come back to object mode. And now we can see that that shading that looked kind of strange around this eye is gone. So it looks like Blender recalculated normals and solved the issue. And that issue was that most likely these normals weren't facing the correct direction. Okay, normals, by the way, are the correct direction that polygons are supposed to face. Okay, with this mesh selected, we're going to click here and then click here to go into sculpt mode. Okay, typically when you come out of sculpt mode, you have to re-enable the dynamic typology mode. So I'm going to scroll down and then put a check mark here to re-enable dynamic typology. Okay, so what we're going to do now is scroll up. I'm going to then click here and then click here to select the snake hook brush. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to click here and push this in some. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm going to press F to make the area of influence a little bit bigger. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, now I'm going to press F and then push N to shrink my area of influence down. Okay, I'm going to hover my mouse here. I'm then going to hold Shift and click to smooth this out some. Hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold Shift and click here to smooth that out some. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to scroll down. We're going to look at this detail level. We're going to click here. Then we're going to enter 10 for the value. Then press Enter to lock that in. Then I'm going to hover here, hold Shift to smooth this out some, like that. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold Shift and then click here while holding Shift to smooth this out some. Now I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold Shift again and then now hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view again. Holding Shift again. Holding the middle mouse button to take a look. And I'm holding Shift because Shift allows you to switch to the smooth brush. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here, come to object mode. I'm going to zoom back. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold Shift and the middle mouse button to pan the view. I'm then going to right click right here. I'm right clicking right here because in Blender, where the 3D cursor is at is where objects tend to come in at. So when I right clicked here, the 3D cursor moved to right here. Okay, so what we're going to bring in is a curve. I'm going to hold Shift and then while holding Shift, press A. This brings up our Add To menu. I'm then going to select Curve. And then I'm going to select Bezier. Okay, with this curve selected, we're going to press the Tab key. and then we're going to select edit to go into the edit mode for the curve. Okay, since we're currently in the edit mode for the curve, what we're going to do now is press X to bring up our delete menu. We're then going to select segments to delete that curve that we just brought in. So why did we bring in a curve and then press delete the segments to get rid of the curve? And that's because we're in Blender 2.78. There's a very cool new way to work with curves, and I figured we'd use that to make the eyebrows for this mesh. When we came into the curve edit mode, a few more options opened up over here. I'm going to hover my mouse here, left click and drag down so you can see these tabs better. And if we click here, see where it says projection depth? This is going to set up where we're going to be allowed to draw a curve. And that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to draw a curve to form the eyebrow. So we're going to click surface here. Okay, right here where it says taper radius, we're going to click here, and then we're going to enter in 0.5 and then press enter. Then we're going to click here and enter in 0.5 and then press enter for this value as well. And if I hover here and pull this to the side, you can see, pull it a little bit more. This says start and end. So this is the start of the curve, the taper radius, and then the end of the curve taper radius. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here for more options. I'm going to hover my mouse here, left click and drag to the side. Where it says fill here, I'm going to click here, then select full. Where it says depth here, I'm going to click here and enter 0.1 and then press enter to lock that in. Where it says resolution, I'm going to click this arrow to take this up to 4. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to hold control and the middle mouse button to zoom in. And with those settings set up, I'm going to click here to go to the Create tab for the curves. The reason why we can see this is because we're in the Bezier curve edit mode. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click Draw Curve, and then I'm going to click here and then just draw where I want the eyebrow to be at. Pretty cool. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I am going to click here and then go to object mode. I'm then going to press and hold shift, and then while holding shift I'm going to press C to put the 3D cursor right there. I'm then going to press and hold shift, then press B to draw a zoom box right here. I'm then going to click here on our pivot point options, and I'm going to change the pivot point from Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point, to the 3D cursor. Okay, now with this curve selected, I'm going to press and hold shift, and then while holding shift, press D. I'm going to pull to the side to make sure the curve's duplicated. I'm then going to right click to get it to jump back into place. I'm then going to press S to scale on the x-axis -1, and then press left click to get that to lock into place. Okay, what we're going to do now is hold shift and select this. We're going to push these down a little like that. I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, now what we're going to do is click here to go to our navigation tab. I'm then going to click here to go to our right view. I'm then going to hold control and hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, press A to bring up our add menu. We're then going to select UV sphere to bring in a UV sphere. I'm then going to hover here. I'm then going to left click and drag this up so we can see our sphere options. Where it says segments, we're going to click here. We're then going to change this to 12, then press enter. Where it says rings, we're going to click here. We're then going to change that to 12 as well, and then press enter. Okay, now what we're going to do is press S to scale, and then scale that UV sphere up like this. About like that. Then I'm going to left click to lock that scale in. Okay, I'm going to click right here on this pivot point and change it from our 3D cursor back to Blender's default pivot point, which is the median point. I'm then going to click here and then go into edit mode to go into the edit mode of our UV sphere. I'm then going to hold control and hold the middle mouse button and push in to zoom in. Okay, I'm going to press O to turn off proportional edit. As far as the proportional editing tool, I'm then going to press Z and then select wireframe. I'm then going to press A to deselect our UV sphere. I'm then going to hover here, press B, then draw a box select right here. I'm then going to push down about to there. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, I'm going to hold Control and hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. Okay, now I'm going to hover my mouse here. I'm then going to hold Control, and then while holding Control, press R. I'm then going to roll my mouse once, again, and then one more time. I'm then going to left click to lock that in, and then left click a second time to totally lock those loop cuts in. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, I'm going to click here for face select. I'm then going to hover my mouse here. I'm then going to press B to bring up box select. I'm then going to left click and drag to here. I have this geometry selected and I want that geometry because I'm about to get rid of this. I'm going to press C, hold the middle mouse button to move that geometry out of the selection. I'm then going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm then going to press X to bring up our delete menu, and then I'm going to select faces to delete. Okay, I actually want to take away this geometry, so I'm going to hover here. I'm then going to press B. I'm then going to draw a box select to select that geometry right there. I'm then going to press X to bring up our delete menu. I'm then going to select faces to delete. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Z and then go to solid view. I'm then going to hold Alt and then select right here to grab this bottom edge loop. Okay, I'm going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool. I'm then going to press G. I'm going to roll the mouse wheel up to increase the area of influence. Pull this back just slightly, and I'm going to press R to rotate on the X axis. I press G and then roll the mouse wheel just so I could see the area of influence. I'm going to press S to scale on the X axis like this. Okay, now I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, what I'm going to do now is hold Control as well as hold the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm then going to press C for paint select and paint select all of this right here. I'm going to right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press C for paint select again. Then right click to get out of paint select. I'm going to hold the mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to press C for paint select again, and then right click to get out of paint select again. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button. I'm then going to press O to turn off the proportional editing tool. Then I'm going to press Y to separate the geometry that I currently have selected. I'm then going to press S to scale that separated geometry. Hold the mouse button just to turn so we can get a better view. I'm then going to pull this back some, like that. I'm then going to press A to deselect. Okay, so I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm then going to click here to go to edge select. I'm then going to click here, hold shift, then click here, as well as here. I'm now going to hover my mouse right here. I'm then going to press the V key and then just pull to the side right there. The V key rips edges, so when I press the V, this edge separated from this edge here. Okay, I'm going to press A to deselect. I'm then going to click here. I'm then going to press O to turn on the proportional editing tool. I'm then going to press G. We can see the area of influence right there. I'm then going to roll this area of influence down some and pull this to the side a little like this. I'm going to actually roll it up about like that. Then I'm going to then left click to lock that in. This is the regular proportional editing tool. If I hold Alt and then while holding Alt press O, this turns on the connected proportional editing tool. Now when I had the regular proportional editing tool, when I moved to the side, all of this geometry moves, which I wanted at the time. However, if I want to move, I'm going to click here just to get the manipulator to move. If I want to move just this geometry and leave this alone, the connected proportional editing tool will allow me to do that. So now I'm going to press G. You see that? Very cool. I'm actually going to press G again and pull this down a little bit. Then I'm going to left click to lock that in. Okay, what we're going to do now is press A to deselect. I'm then going to click here, go to object mode. I'm then going to click here what looks like this wrench, our modifier panel mode. I'm then going to click here, go to solidify. Solidify is very good for thickening things like the hair here. So we're going to go to thickness. We're going to enter in a value of 0.2 and then press enter to lock that in. Okay, what we're going to do now is click apply. We're then going to click here, then go to the subdivision surface modifier, take this view up to 2, and then we're going to click apply to apply the subdivision surface modifier. Okay, what we're going to do now is click here, then go to sculpt mode. We're going to click tools, then we're going to scroll down. We're going to turn on dynamic typology. Okay, what I'm going to do now is scroll up, click here, then go to the blob brush. I'm going to press F and then pull out to make it a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to add in some detail there. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate towards the back. I'm going to hold shift and middle mouse button to pan. Okay, and we're going to use the blob brush to just add some more detail. Okay, I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view back towards the front. Now we're going to scroll down to where it says symmetry lock. We're going to click this X to not have everything be symmetrical as we work in sculpt mode. Okay, what we're going to do now is scroll up, click here, and then select the snake hook brush. Okay, I'm going to roll the mouse wheel to zoom back. I'm going to press F, then pull to the side a little bit to make this brush a little bit bigger, and then we're just going to, slightly roll the mouse wheel to zoom in, modify the hair somewhat. Okay, and there's a lot more that you could do with the hair. We're going to leave the hair be for now. That could be another tutorial in itself. Who knows? Maybe it will be. Yeah, there's a lot more you could do with it, though. I just thought that, the girl should have some hair. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to click here and then go to object mode. Okay, the reason why we came to object mode was so we could get a different look at our mesh. We're going to click on this world button. We're going to click on ambient occlusion. Then we're going to click here. And when I do this, normally 0.25 works well. For now, I'm going to enter in 0.50, then press enter. And the reason why we did that was ambient occlusion used this way is, for me, a quick way to get a different view of our model without going through a lighting setup. Okay, so with the ambient occlusion set up, I'm going to hold shift then press Z, and this gives us just a different view. You can see the cheekbones aren't as prominent. However, right here this is very prominent, so we know we need to deal with that. So just coming in here is a nice way to see things like this and some of the other details of our mesh. So we're going to hold shift and then while holding shift press Z to leave render mode. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to click on our mesh. We're then going to click here and then we're going to click sculpt mode to go into sculpting mode. Okay, so what we're going to do now is hover our mouse here. We're going to hold shift and while holding shift press B. We're then going to draw a zoom box for right here. We're then going to click here and then go to our F clay strips brush. Okay, and we want to make sure that we remember to scroll down here and click X to turn symmetry back on, because we had turned off symmetry when we were working on the hair. And then going to scroll up. Okay. I'm going to hold control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom in. I'm then going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, normally I do not like to go below a detail size of 5, just for my computer's current strength. However, since this line is so defined there, I think that we should take the detail size and go down to 2. So I'm going to enter 2 and then press enter to lock that in. Okay, I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to hold control and the middle mouse button, push up to zoom in some more. I'm then going to press F and then push over to shrink my area of influence for the brush that I'm using, which is our clay strips brush, F clay strips brush. Okay, so now we're just going to take our brush and work along this edge right here. I'm just going in circular small circles. Okay, when you're working this close to a part of your mesh, sometimes you have to rotate your view just to allow yourself to be able to see all of the details. So I'm going to hold control and hold the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view some. I'm going to be very careful not to get this right here. So I'm going to actually hold control to zoom in closer. Okay, I'm going to press F, then push to the side to make my brush that much smaller. I just do not want to get that edge right there. Okay, I'm going to hold control and the middle mouse button to zoom back some. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. Okay, I'm going to press F, then pull to the side to make this a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to hold shift. When you hold shift, you you switch to the smooth brush. So I'm just trying to smooth that in there. Okay, I'm going to hold control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. Letting go of the middle mouse button, still holding control, now holding the middle mouse button again, letting go of the middle mouse button, still holding control, now holding the middle mouse button again. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. I'm going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm going to click to come to object mode. Long story short, it works better as far as looking at ambient occlusion because some of the different pieces of your mesh do not show up for whatever reason in scope mode. So I come to object mode to be able to see the mesh. Okay, and when I say see the mesh, I mean in rendered mode. So we're going to hold shift and then while holding shift, press Z to enter into rendered mode. It's a little bit better, but still, you still can see it a decent amount. So we're going to press shift Z. We're going to click here and then go to scope mode. We're then going to hold shift, then while holding shift, press B, then draw a zoom box right here to zoom in. Okay, let me push this up so you can see we're still working with the clay strips brush. And we're just going to spread out this clay strip more. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, now I'm going to hold shift. Smooth, you can see the smooth brush is active while we're holding shift. Careful not to do this line here. I'm not clicking anything, I'm just pointing here. I'm not rubbing on there, I'm just pointing. Holding the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, I'm going to click here, then go to object mode. I'm then going to hold shift and then while holding shift, press Z. That looks much better. I'm then going to hold shift and then while holding shift, press Z again. Okay, what we're going to do is hold control, then hold the middle mouse button to zoom back. I'm then going to hold shift and the middle mouse button to pan. I'm then going to hold shift and then while holding shift, press Z. And there still can be more work done, but not bad, looks much better. I'm going to hold the middle mouse button to rotate the view. Okay, I'm going to hold shift, and then while holding shift, press Z to come out of rendered mode. Okay, we can see our mesh here, and she has a straight look on her face. Suppose you want to, be careful that you retain the work that you've done, but you would like to have your character have some expression on their face, right? One of the things you can do is with your mesh clicked on, right? You can tell we're clicked on the mesh because we can see the orange outline. You can go to what looks like this triangle button here, then click there. See where this thing says shape keys right here? Click this plus button right here. Okay, what this shape key does is these shape keys control the shape of your mesh. This basis right here is kind of like a baseline. Like this is the standard of your shape keys right here, this basis. So if we want to put a smile on this character, we can click here. And now we have another shape key, right? Shape key, we have the basis right here. However, we have this other shape key here. So we don't have to worry about anything we do right here because we can always go back to the basis here. So we're going to double click here and type in SMILE for smile, then press enter to lock that in. Okay, usually when I'm working with shape keys, I would then go into edit mode. And when you go in edit mode, that kind of like is where you do the work of this, right? However, we can also go into sculpt mode to do the work of this. And the way when we go to edit mode, we would just, have this selected and then click edit and then go to work, right? We want to go to sculpt mode. So to go to sculpt mode and to be able to work on the shape key, we need to click this pen right here. So we're just going to left click that pen right there. Then we're just going to, with this small shape key selected, we're then going to click here. And with our main mesh selected, and then we're going to go into sculpt mode by selecting sculpt mode. Okay, and we just want to change our mesh so, our mesh here looks like she's smiling. So you could use the snake hook brush to do this, or you could use the move brush. We're going to use the move brush, so I'm going to click here. Or when I said move, I meant grab. Okay, we're going to use the quote-unquote F grab brush. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to hold the middle mouse button, rotate to the side. I'm going to press F, pull to the side to increase the area of our grab brush. Then we're just going to grab here, and then pull to the side, then up some. Now we're going to go to the side of our mesh some. We're going to pull a little bit, but not quite right there, right here around. Pull this back some. It'll make your move somewhat subtle. Pull up a little bit more, like that. Okay, typically when somebody smiles, other pieces of their face move, like the area around their eyes. So what we're going to do is hover here. We're going to press F. We're going to pull to the side a little bit to make this brush a little bit bigger. We're going to grab right here. Now that hair looks like it's in the way, but it's not. It's in the way of our view, but not in the way of what we grab, just to be clear. So I'm going to grab here and then pull this up some, like that. Maybe a little bit here, more like that. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to click here, go back to object mode, and then this pen we're going to click here to have our shape keys go back to, I guess you would say, their regular state. Okay, and right now the value is set for 0 for this shape key. So if we set this value to 1, it's like saying we want this shape key to be, the value to be up to 100%. So we're going to click here, then we're going to press just 1, right? And then enter. So now the value is set for 1.000. That always makes me think of 1,000, but it's basically 100%. So now we can see that our character is smiling. The smile we just set up in sculpt mode. Okay, so what we're going to do now is hold down shift, and then while holding shift, press Z. And I like how the smile turned out. I like how that looks. Hopefully you can see from what we did with the shape keys there, how you could set up for other facial expressions. Okay guys, that's it for that tutorial. For all of those of you out there who like the videos on this channel and we share them, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And to those of you who are new to this channel, if you like the videos on this channel and you would like to see more, please subscribe, and thank you for viewing.